Look at this mouth. Every tooth straight, every tooth solid, and not one of them has ever touched a toothbrush. This guy has never cleaned his teeth. Not once. He does not know what a toothbrush is, and his mouth is in better shape than yours. No cavities, no braces, no dentist. How? He is standing at the front of his cave, gripping a bone, grinning like he knows something you don't. And he does, because there are two impossible things hiding in that grin, and they have completely separate answers. The teeth aren't rotting, and the teeth are perfectly straight. Hold on to that second one. We are coming back for it, and it is the part that should bother you the most. Start with the holes, because that is the part everyone thinks they understand. A cavity is not caused by dirty teeth. A cavity is caused by an animal. A single type of bacteria lives in your mouth right now, and it has exactly one job. It eats sugar, then it excretes acid. The acid drills the hole. That is the whole crime, start to finish. Brushing does not attack the hole. Brushing attacks the sugar the animal was going to eat next. So look at what this man eats. Meat he tore off a carcass. Roots he dug out of the dirt. Tubers, seeds, the occasional handful of berries. Nothing on that menu is sweet. Nothing on it is soft. Now picture the bacteria sitting in his mouth, waiting for a delivery of sugar that is never coming. Not today, not this year, not once in his entire life. It starves. His teeth survive not because he scrubbed them, but because he never once fed the thing that eats them. And the joke is hiding in that grin. He didn't need a toothbrush because his lunch already was one. Chewing a fibrous root for 10 minutes drags it across every surface of every tooth like a scrub brush made of plant. Tough meat does the same. All that grinding also floods his mouth with saliva, which rinses the whole thing between meals. His teeth got cleaned constantly. He just never picked up a tool to do it. Well, almost never. Look closely at some ancient teeth, and there is a tiny groove worn into the side, right down by the gum. For years, nobody knew what made it. Then it clicked. A toothpick. A little twig worked back and forth between the same two teeth, day after day, for years, until it carved a channel into the enamel. So he wasn't brushing, but he was digging scraps of meat out of his gums with a stick, over and over, for a lifetime. It is the oldest cleaning habit we have ever found, and he left the scratch marks to prove it. And his food did not go down easy. He ripped raw meat with the front teeth like a strap. He ground fibrous roots for minutes at a time, and baked into all of it was grit, actual sand, and stone dust from grinding food on rock. By the time he is 30, his teeth are worn flat as paving stones. But here is the thing nobody tells you. Flat is not rotten. Worn down and hole-free is a mouth a modern dentist would frame on the wall. And the wear did him a favor. A fresh tooth is full of tiny pits and deep grooves, and those grooves are exactly where bacteria hide and cavities start. Grind the top of the tooth flat and you sand those hiding spots right off. His food was slowly erasing the very cracks a cavity needs to begin. Now, watch the whole toothbrush theory fall apart, because not every ancient human had a perfect mouth. Around 15,000 years ago, long before farming, one group figured out how to gather wild acorns and grind them into a paste. Acorns are loaded with the exact kind of soft, clingy carbohydrate that bacteria love. And when you dig up their skulls, the mouths are wrecked. Rotten teeth, abscesses. Some of them lost teeth entirely. These people never brushed either. They just handed the animal in their mouth a buffet. Same era, same lack of hygiene, opposite result. It was never about the brushing. It was always about what you fed. I find those acorn people weirdly comforting. Nobody brushed. Some had flawless mouths, and some were in agony. The only difference on the table was the menu. Then, 10,000 years ago, everyone made the acorn mistake at once. We invented farming, and farming means grain, and grain is starch, and starch is just sugar, wearing a disguise. Feed a mouthful of bacteria a steady diet of bread and porridge every single day, and it throws a party that never ends. You can watch it happen in the bones. Line up a hunter's skull next to a farmer's skull from a few thousand years later. The hunter's grin is clean. The farmer's is punched full of holes. We did not get worse at cleaning, we got better at feeding the enemy, and then a few centuries ago we discovered refined sugar and poured gasoline on the whole thing. And you don't have to dig up a skull to see it. Even now, the last few groups on Earth still eating the old way have almost no cavities. Wild game, tubers, a bit of honey, no sugar, no dentist for 1,000 miles. Then a truck shows up loaded with flour and sugar and soda, and within a single generation, their kids have the same rotten mouths as everyone else. Nothing changed about how they brush because they still don't. The only thing that changed was what went in. This is my favorite part, and it sounds made up, but it isn't. Your mouth mouth keeps a fossil record. The soft film on your teeth slowly hardens into a kind of natural cement, and that cement traps whatever bacteria were living there and turns them to stone. It is basically the same crud your dentist scrapes off with that little metal hook, except left alone for thousands of years, it becomes a rock glued to the tooth. On an ancient skull, that stony crust is still stuck to the teeth. Scientists scrape it off, and inside it is a frozen snapshot of an entire mouth. When they read the ancient ones, they find a wild, crowded jungle of dozens of different bacteria, all keeping each other in check. When they read a modern mouth, they find something closer to a farm growing one single crop, the sugar eater, dominant, unchallenged, everywhere. We did not just get more cavities, we flattened an entire ecosystem living on our own teeth. Now, remember the second mystery, the straight teeth, because that one has nothing to do with sugar or bacteria at all, and it is the part I still can't get over. Your jaw is bone, but it grows a lot like a muscle. Work it hard while you are young, and it grows long and wide and strong. Barely use it, and it stays small. Biologist Daniel Lieberman has spent years on this exact problem, and the logic is brutal in its simplicity. That cave kid spent his entire childhood chewing tough meat and gritty roots for hours a day. His jaw got a full workout every single day of its development, so it grew to full size. And a full-sized jaw has a parking space for every tooth in the set. Everything lines up because everything fits. Now look at a modern kid. Soft bread, smoothies, pasta, yogurt, food that basically dissolves before it needs chewing. The jaw gets almost no work during the years it is supposed to be growing, so it stops short, small. But nobody told your teeth to shrink to match. You still grow the exact same number of teeth your ancestor grew, and now you are trying to fit a full set into a jaw that never finished. So they shove, they twist, they overlap, and crowd and lean on each other. That is not a genetic curse. That is a construction problem. And braces are just you paying a specialist to untangle teeth that a softer childhood squeezed too tight. And then there are the wisdom teeth, which is where this gets almost funny. That caveman had room for all four of his. They came in, they lined up, they went to work, grinding roots. Yours don't fit. And it is not because evolution retired them. Your body still builds all four right on schedule, fully committed to the plan. It is your jaw that broke the contract. It stopped growing before the room for them existed, so they arrived sideways, jammed against the teeth, in front, with nowhere to go. And so a surgeon knocks you out and cuts them out of your skull. I had mine out at 19. It never once occurred to me that it was strange. It is completely strange. We are the first humans in 300,000 years who do this. We pull out healthy teeth, not because they rotted, but because our own mouths got too small to hold the equipment we were born with. So look back at him, the grin at the mouth of the cave. He never brushed, and he never needed to. You brushed twice a day, and you still booked the dentist, and you still had the braces, and you still lost the wisdom teeth. And none of that is because you are dirtier than him or he was cleaner than you. It is because his food starved the bacteria and built his jaw, and your food feeds the bacteria and lets the jaw shrink. Same species, same teeth, same mouth. Completely different life for it. And here is the last thing, the part you can't fix with a better toothbrush. You could brush every day for the rest of your life and it will not add a single millimeter to your jaw, because the size of your mouth was decided when you were a child, by how hard you had to chew. His was carved by tough meat and stone dust. Yours was shaped by soft bread and smoothies. He is grinning because he doesn't know how good he has it. And you, right now, running your tongue over your own crowded, filled, expensively corrected teeth, you finally do. Thanks for watching. All the sources and studies used in this video can be found in the description below.